Good morning, brothers and sisters. Let us start now. A warm welcome to our masters, Hualien Dharma team, brothers and sisters around the globe. This Saturday Hualien Dharma talk. A very good morning. Let us start the session for today. This morning, I would like to share an extract from Master Ching's speech. Propagate goodness in the world. Wish that everyone understands the true principle of vegetarianism and not just enjoying and thankful for the vegetarian meal, not because the vegetarian bento is delicious, but do so with the intention of loving and protecting all lives. Cherish life and protect life, like how we relieve illness and poverty. We could gather people in a community to join us, to spread goodness in the world. The ultimate objective of every living bodhisattva is to purify minds and create a harmonious society. Grateful to Master Tzu Chi. Now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Sahaland be free from disaster and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. From my heart, I pray. May we join our hands, our hearts as one. Spread the seeds of great love, nurture wisdom evermore. Let us fill the world with hope. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas know my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
May all minds be purified. May there be peace in your community. May there be no disaster in this world. Now let us pray together for universal love and blessing. With loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, Let us wish every person in our lives a healthy body, an enlightened mind, and a total fulfillment in living in the world. Now let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the living. Let our unified love make this wonderful world even better. Let us all immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. And everyone for the sincere prayers. Before we hear the wonderful sharing, let us invite our Master to lead us in paying homage to the Buddhas. Let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Cheng by making 2 sincere vows. Please rise, come together. First vow. Second vow. Third vow. And a bow to our beloved Abode Masters who could join us today. And today we have Brother Sean and followed by Master Tzu, who will be sharing with us with non-violent communication. Now let us invite Sister Su Ching for the weekly summary. Over to you, Sister Su Ching.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, let me draw this out. Okay, last week on April Fool's Day, we had Sister Lei Sim brief us what's happening in Nepal and India. In Buddha land where footprints were set, Sister Lei Sim counted each city maps. From Lumbini, where Buddha was born, to Rajgir, where Dharma was sworn. Master Cheng Yen seeks to repay Buddha's grace in her own way, helping the land where he once walked, spreading love, compassion and love, some things people forgot. Master Ru Sing, with will and tears, saw beggar children through her fears. She took over from a Japanese NGO and went door to door to let parents know. Education is the key to a better life, to escape the caste system strife. Under trees in some villages, schools are held, more children away from begging and the numbers of students swell. Unfortunately, some destroyers with cruel intent would rather keep the untouchables bent. Master Ru Sing perseveres still, building more schools with undaunted will. Many medical cases stroke due to the high intake of salt. This is a symptom of poverty's fault. In Buddha land, there's much to do to heal and help the many suffering few. On most days, the itinerary is unknown. Plans change in a moment, but seeds are sown. Endurance is the path through cultivation, accepting what comes with dedication. To all never slighting bodhisattvas, we play our part. Complain not, but have a grateful heart. For the final mission is to bring compassion, love, and joy to everything. We had four questions to Brother David Yu. So I'm going to read the question and then the answer will be in poem form. The first question was, I am facing family and work issues which seems endless. Due to these issues, I can't focus and join Tzu Chi activities, and this is bad as I am a commissioner. I feel embarrassed thinking that it is better for me to leave Tzu Chi. And the answer was, the road ahead may seem so long, with endless family and work issues to belong. You feel embarrassed to stay as a commissioner, as you can't join Tzu Chi activities with such a barrier. But pause to think, what was your initial aspiration? To help others in need with dedication and passion. If you let your inner mind control external situations, you will face these afflictions with patience and determination. Running away may seem like an easy fix, but your mind will still be afflicted. That is no trick. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel yet, though. Do what you can, even if progress seems slow. Stay strong, stay true to your heart, and let Tzu Chi be a guiding part of your journey towards a better day where obstacles are overcome in every way. Question 2 was, What are the criteria and qualifications to be a pure practitioner? Are paper qualifications and age factors to be considered? Okay, the answer is a pure practitioner is a noble path. The Tzu Chi way is a journey to last. A life of service needs a heart of gold. These are the criteria to follow as we are told. Less than 45, more importantly, a joyful heart. To embark on this path is a fresh start, unmarried and without children in tow, with a clear mind and ever ready to grow. The third question, why are there no resident nuns in Jingsi abode placed in every country's Jingsi hall to guide, to guide disciples? The answer lies in Master's voice, with a message that makes us all rejoice. All volunteers are bodhisattvas true, living embodiments of the Dharma's hue, with hearts of compassion and minds of light. They spread the teachings with all their might. With technology at our fingertips, we can connect to Master's trips. Through screens and wires, we receive the Dharma's wisdom, we believe. And the fourth question, please advise how to eliminate our cravings and attachments. Since we have family, how can we let go? Okay, Brother David Liu said, in life we crave for things we desire, attachments that we hold on with fire. But these cravings, they bring us pain. Our minds and hearts, they do restrain. To eliminate them, we must simplify, let go of our needs and bid them goodbye. For a simple life is an easier life, free from struggles, free from strife. We must learn to let go one by one, things that we thought we couldn't shun. The more we cling, the more we suffer, our minds in chaos, our hearts in buffer. Spend time cultivating wisdom and light that will guide us through the darkest night. And with family members by our side, we can journey together and abide. For a simple life is a better life, free from greed, free from strife. Let go of everything that is not important and cultivate love that's ever constant. Thank you so much. I'll pass on to Sister Su Ching now to introduce the next speaker. Over to you.
感恩 wow 感恩 so Sister Su Ching for the awesome summary of last session. Wow, it's like bringing us back to last session, and 感恩 Sister Lydia for the starting. Good morning, brothers and sisters. 感恩 everyone for your kind support, and today really indeed is truly an auspicious day for those who follow through since 5:20 morning, listen at dawn. Today we would have listened to this episode on gathering multiple manifestation to see the truth from chapter 11. Well, indeed, today we will have the opportunity to see the manifestations of Master's teaching through the Su Sifu and Brother Sean. Brother Sean is not someone new to us. We have earlier heard some talks from Brother Sean, like his sharing on habits. It is easy to reflect on major mistakes and hard to eliminate our small bad habits. I think not too long ago, October 8 last year, and before that, Brother Sean also spoke on pursuing path of goodness, February 11. So today, again, we are most grateful to have with us Brother Sean Tan. Okay, without much ado, let us pass the platform to Brother Sean. Over to you, Brother Sean.
Morning, everyone from all around the world. Morning, afternoon, evening. I'm Sean. Nice to meet you again. It's my pleasure to be here and share with you again. Yeah, I was thinking a few days ago what to share with all of you regarding my experience or Dharma that I learned during these 10 years in Jingsi Abode. Yesterday, when I look back to all the things I've done, I'm thinking that maybe I can share with you my experience during international disaster relief. I'm lucky enough to join several countries for disaster relief. The first ever kind of like disaster relief after I joined Tzu Chi is Malaysia. Someone might say, oh, that wasn't international disaster relief, because that's my hometown, but I don't think so, because I already become a pure practitioner and my home is in Taiwan. So why I got the opportunity for my first international disaster relief? It was because my fourth brother get married, and I got a chance get permission from masters to going back to hometown. But the right 3 days ago, before my departure, I saw a lot of news reporting that in 2014, uh, around 23rd of December, there are lots of location in Malaysia flooded. So after my departure, arrival in Malaysia, the first thing I do is not going back to my hometown, but straight away I go to Kepong, Malaysia, Selangor, and KL Tzu Chi branch, and I joined the disaster relief or the disaster assessment. So that was my first time to join the disaster relief out of Taiwan. But I got several experience in Taiwan, because there was some Kaohsiung explosion disaster relief. There was some typhoon disaster relief action in Taiwan. So I got some basic experience. But the first time in Malaysia, I joined them. I found out that, oh, I am lack of a lot of experience. I'm not that experienced. But just few after 2 days for disaster assessment, masters instruct us that the disaster area is too dangerous because the water is still high level, which I doesn't know. I just follow the team and then learn everything. But after we brought to masters mentions that, oh, the water is still in high level, so we shouldn't go to the dangerous area by taking boat. We should because they have enough resources during that time already. Many people go into the flooded area and deliver goods and everything, so they are all fine. Then I go back to my hometown to join my brother's wedding. And after I joined the wedding, I found out that in the northern part, Kedah, northern part of Malaysia, the flooded area is the water is getting lower, and we start the disaster relief in the northern part. So I went back Malaysia for 2 weeks, but I end up going back to Malacca, my hometown, for 2 or 3 days. Yeah, but anyway, after that incident, my parents proud of me, and they are happy to see me joining as a pure practitioner. Yep. So today my topics is going to share some of my experience during disaster relief, using the different cases as today sharing topics. Yeah. Right now I already been in more than 12 countries for disaster relief, including some charity exchange. So my last country to join the disaster relief was 2020. Second, in Poland for Ukraine-Russia war refugee relief. So the first ever out of Malaysia and Taiwan, the first ever country that I joined for disaster relief was Nepal. That would be my first case to share today. The conclusion that I get after these disaster relief experience, I found that there's no any perfect solution in a disaster relief. So because disaster is something that is unexpected, that's not something that well planned and then telling you earthquake will be happen 2 days afterwards, or like you have 2 months preparation. No, there is no any preparations for disaster. Like 2 months ago, in February 6, there's a disaster in Turkey, earthquake, exactly the same in Nepal. So no one having any preparations for that. Yeah, so that is something unexpected. So what can we do as a staff for disaster relief? Usually we'll get some training, and then there are actually some professional charter or SOP or some informations that we can learn to get prepared. But anyhow, there's no anyone in the world that can 100% well prepared for a disaster. So what we can do is just like the chart you can see here. This is the UN OCHA coordinators cluster. So they have different cluster during the disaster. So what Tzu Chi working on is quite variety. You can see we have sometimes we provide hygiene, sanitations, water. This is called as wash or shelter. We did provide some shelter or protections for refugee, nutritions like food, and for the children we give them milk powder or logistics. It belongs to different cluster that we might get involved. So during disaster relief, we will contact with the frontline UN bodies. Like if we involve in shelter, we'll get in touch with international, this is Federations of Red Cross or UNHCR. So we work together with them and then joining their cluster and report what are we working on. So this is actually what the NGOs or the UN bodies that we usually working with during the disaster relief. So they are actually there is a complete humanitarian response standards that produced by the Sphere project. This is actually quite a comprehensive project, a charter or a standard that we can follow for like the shelter, what should we follow, like the food security, how much we should provide to the recipient. So we have all the things we can learn beforehand, but the conclusions I can have, there's no any perfect solutions in a disaster relief. So according to my experience, I'm the first case study I'm going to share today is the Nepal earthquake relief. Yep. So in Nepal earthquake, we can see that this is really something that is unexpected. We have a lot of our family members, our Dharma family members from Malaysia, Singapore, going to Nepal, and they are in Nepal right now, helping to contribute back to the Buddha's hometown. Okay, so they are still in Nepal. So right now they are all mostly in the Lumbini area, but the time they are having earthquake, massive earthquake, that was in the township or the capital, the capital of Nepal, which is in Kathmandu. Kathmandu is a capital for Nepal, where the population is quite condensed. There's a lot of building there, but you can see after the earthquake, all the building collapsed, and they don't have much strong pillars that support the building. That's all. Most of them, they are historical building, and what you can see there, they are all rubbles. So our team depart. I'm the second batch of disaster relief team. The first team is Brother Joe Huang, and he went to Nepal 3 days after earthquake. My team went to Nepal 5 days or 6 days after the earthquake, and I was the team bringing with all the professional medical doctors from Tzu Chi hospitals. They are all the directors from different Hualien, Daling, different hospital working together, especially in the orthopedic, because there are lots of building collapsed, and then they actually buried a lot of the victims, and then some of them they are survived but with bone fracture. So the local hospital can't accommodate so much victims. So we after the first batch, Brother Joe bringing the disaster assessment team, they found out that they need lots of orthopedics doctors for helping the victims. So my team, second team, we dispatch and they're helping that. So here is the a review for the disaster. Let me show you the sound, share you the sound and also the video. Can you hear the sound? If you can hear it, you can type it in the chat box. So can anyone hear me? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, this is a video that produced by our Tzu Chi USA media team. It was her video that produced during end of 2015, but the facts that written there, I mean the mid and long term disaster relief or the charity actions is still continue in Nepal. Yes, we doesn't leave Nepal ever since 2015. We can see some of the videos in some of the photos. We can see our volunteers from Nepal is still working on our projects in Lumbini right now. So we can see like Brother Mani and also the Dr. Nadish. They are all still helping in Nepal actions. Yeah, so we can see after the earthquake, there are lots of things that we wish to do but we can't do, like helping them to get a better accommodations, like the shelters, like the cluster that we saw just now. A lot of NGOs, what they are doing is just providing them tent. Even this tent is actually we got from Tzu Chi, Indonesia. This is an army use tent. This is thick enough, but during the I'm not sure how it called in Nepal, but it's similar like Malaysia. We have monsoon season, so they have a lot of raining around June to July. So we did provide them tent, and they get a better conditions for a few months, 1 to 2 months after the earthquake. But very soon, when the monsoon season start, raining keeps starting. I heard there was a victim cried and told me that during the day they are still all fine because they are awake. They can standing inside the tent. At least they can avoid sleeping on or sitting on top of the water. But during night, what can they do? They have to hug the children and then let the children to sleep, and then they can't sleep the whole day. What can they do? It's just hugging the children for the whole day and make sure that the water get low and they are not then they will cover it with their clothes. And then during the daytime, what can they do? They'll bring out all their clothes and everything, and then to put on top of tent to make it dry. So after Master knows that the conditions before the monsoon, this is early in the monsoon, Master prepared the foldable beds and then sending them to make sure that they avoid sleeping on the floor. So we can see during that time, photo beds is some a new products from Jingsi abroad. So we send them with the photo beds that really amaze the Nepal victims and also some NGOs because the photo bed is so good. They can be used as a bed, they can be used as chair, and during daytime, if they want to have some activities or like they have so many family members inside the tent, what can they do? They can fold it up and then bring it to the side, and then they have enough space for their daily actions. Well, you can see here, the women is actually preparing meal for the children inside the tent. So I can see they have limited space, but with Master's wisdom, we invented something that is useful, that's useful for them, and then they are really happy to have that foldable beds. So like what we said, we have different team in Tzu Chi. We have Tima, we have professionals, doctors, we have nurses, we have volunteers that help in the medical, and we have superintendents, directors from Tzu Chi Hospital. They are all dispatched for first batch and second batch, and then we are there for medical team helping the children. And then some of our medical doctors, they are traditions Chinese medicine TCM. They are really excellent. They bring with some needles and some acupuncture needle, not the normal needle, acupuncture needles, and then helping the villagers. They get improve for their stress and also their unease emotion. So they get stiff, muscle pain, and then they can sleep well. They can easily solve with the help of traditional Chinese medicine. So our medical team not just helping them physically, our medical teams helping them emotionally and also their mental state. So this is not a normal doctors that you can see like a hospital. They are with compassion and love. And also this is one of the temporary classroom made from different NGO. This is quite common. This is not a special case for after disaster school classroom building. This is quite common that you can see after disaster, after earthquake, lots of classroom. They are actually covered with zinc and also some Tzu Chi. I'm not sure how we call it in English. So they are using some a very simple material to cover it as a wall. This is not the worst one that I saw in Nepal after the earthquake. This is one of the normal classroom they have. So when we take this photo for the classroom and then send it back to master said, this room classroom is so, I mean, it's not good for the children. Why we say so? Because Nepal is quite hot during the summer season. You can see the zinc here that can be absorbing all the heat, and then they'll be so hot inside the classroom during daytime, and then during raining time, the zinc will be so noisy. You can hear all the water pours on top of the zinc, and the raining pouring onto the zinc. So they are so noisy, they can interfere the students' studying mood, and then the water will be going into the classroom. So they are actually covering it like using plastic bags, because the water will be, I mean, go into the classroom, but that is not useful. The water is still going into the classroom. So what we are doing there, we are actually providing them with a semi-permanent classroom that is designed by our volunteers, Malaysian volunteers, by Penang branch. They are very excellent. So we built some of the semi-permanent classroom. So last 2 years, when our team went back to Nepal again, and then we went back to Taktapo, Kathmandu, some of the classes, schools that with a semi-permanent classroom. Masters, during the time, Master said the classroom in Nepal won't be rebuilt within years, 1 year. That would take a long time to rebuild the classroom. But so Master said we should give them something much more durable, much more strong, that can be used for several years, but not just few months. So Master suggests we can have a semi-permanent classroom. That semi-permanent classroom, 1 or 2 years ago, when our team went back to Nepal, and then they revisit the school, and then they found out that the classroom disappeared. The classroom is not there anymore, but they saw the classroom. They dismantle nicely with all the rooftop and also the wall, and then they rebuild it again on top of another classroom. So for example, like the classroom, they have three floor. They move the semi-permanent classroom to the 4th floor and then cover it using as a 4th floor building. Yep. So because the material we provide them is good enough, so they can be reused again after the disaster, emergency purpose. So we can see Masters is not just providing what the UN, this is actually a UN recommended building. This is what really shocked us. This is what the materials, exactly the materials, and also the size recommended by the United Nations. So we did follow the dimension recommended by the IOM of United States, United Nations, to build, but the materials we use a better quality that they can be used for several years. And what you can see, some of the buildings that collapsed in 2015, they doesn't have enough resources to rebuild it till now. So what decision they made by Masters is so good that last week I got contact with the one of the teachers that works with me for disaster relief, the Nepal teacher. They are happy with what we have done, and then they still feel grateful with our presence. Yeah, so because we are not just giving them semi-permanent classroom, we provide them with all the uniform, books, and everything. So this is what I'm in charge in. I'm in charge in delivering school uniform, books, this school uniform is not something, I mean, the general size, I mean, the same size for every student. No, we provide them with a custom made. Yeah, so we works together with the uniform company, and then the uniform company will go to the school and then measure their size one by one. And then we distribute more than 20, if I'm not mistaken. We help for 20 or 30 schools with their custom-made school uniform, tie, belts, and then their shoes, stocking, and then everything. Why should we do that? Because when we go to the school, we found that students, they are wearing different shirts, or some of them maybe they still have uniform. The conditions is not very good, so we provide them the uniform they need, and also the books, and also bags and everything. So the full set of the tools they need to learn in the school. So much more than physical goods we provide during disaster would be the victim's emotional stage. From an emotional phase after disaster, according to the chart you can see here, the well-being for victims, the first time they will encounter different stage after disaster: shock, adjustment, contradiction, inner crisis, and recovery. Usually, what we can do for the first 3 months is accompaniment. What you can see here is accompaniment. So there are two different conditions for the victims. So for those that has a trauma, for example, like they lost their family members, or they got different conditions, so they will go through this line. They will feel numbness, disbelief, denial for the condition they face, and then they will confuse depression, crisis. And then this is a critical point. After 6 months, after this is not a fix, but normally after 6 months, there will be different path they can go. I mean, the inner stage of them, emotional phase. Some of them, they will just quitting. What is quitting? Maybe they're going for suicide, or they're just letting go, or they just accepted the facts where all their valuables are damaged, or their assets is gone during the disaster. So this is what their mind stage will be going through. So there are lots of negative feeling they will have here. So extended crisis, partial recovery, or they can go to better conditions, a new confidence transformations. If we have someone accompanying them for the whole trauma, they can get into better condition. So what led them to go to a new confidence transformations? Accompaniment. So what leads to different results? Accompaniment. So so that would be a questions for me myself after joining a different disaster relief. I will ask myself, what we can do to help victims into a better psychosocial psychology state. So the answer I can have here is sympathy versus empathy. Sympathy is something like we are there, we know they are pain, and then we just feel we just say, sorry, you're in pain, so what can I help? But for empathy, what we working in as the Tzu Chi volunteers, we feel their pain and we treat them as a family members. We cry together with them. We happy we cheers to cheering together with them and everything. We just like they are family members, and we treat them exactly like our family members. So that is what we say as empathy. But a lot of NGOs, or I'm not saying like all the NGOs, but some of the NGOs I saw is just like their sympathy, the victim's condition, and then they just give the goods and then they're leaving the space. So I can see we help Tzu Chi volunteers, we are there not just helping them physically, but also psychologically, like our medical team, our reconstruction team, or different teams. We work together with the victims, and then we treat them as family members. Let us watch this short video.
Following the earthquake in April, thousands of Nepalese across the country were left homeless. In hard-hit Bangamati, 80% of the area's buildings have either been flattened or are now too dangerous to live in. To help, Tzu Chi plans on building 400 prefabs for families, with volunteers currently in Bangamati to get a better idea of the conditions there.
Here in Bangamati, the ruins of homes are everywhere. Those still standing are often in danger of falling down any time. Bangamati was one of the areas hardest hit by the quake. Here, over 80% of the buildings were either seriously damaged or toppled, and thus no longer safe to live in. Here to help all those that lost a home is Tzu Chi. Along with local volunteers and Cash for Work participants.
Tzu Chi has taught me to help others. I have found that in helping others, my own problems have slowly disappeared.
We can see from our Nepal volunteers, we actually giving them cash for the relief project. We let them, we're not just providing them cash or monetary support or good support. We actually having them together to work with us. So in the cash for relief project, he actually feel as our family members, and then when he helping others, he feel better, and then he start to forget his own problem, and then he start to become the one that can helping people. So from palms up to palms down, helping others people. So we are actually letting them know that they are not someone that just needed help. They can be the one that helping others people. So these are the volunteers that we have. After 3 months, I can still remember this is the last distributions that we have, a massive, large scale distributions that we have in Nepal during end of June 2015. So during these distributions, we are not there. We are there, but we are not directly involved in the distributions. Why are we doing so? Because we want to have them to be as a MC. So we have MC here. We have volunteers helping for the lineup, helping for the distribution ceremony. We have different volunteers working as different position. So they are actually holding the distribution all by themselves. So we are there just accompanying them to have the distributions. We have some of the volunteers, they are still in contact with me. They are, some of them, Anish, I can see Anish, he's having his master studies in Taiwan. And then we still have some volunteers that are actually working together with our Tzu Chi volunteers for the Nepal, the Lumbini charity project. Yep. So this is how we actually empowering them. So we are not there to having disaster relief for giving goods. We are there to empower them, and then people who gives are the happiest. So we can have another video, watch another video here.
Today's distribution is being presided over by 2 local doctors. Using the local tongue, the pair leads everyone in prayer and guides participants through the distribution. Fluent in Chinese, the doctors also translate on behalf of the aid recipients. In fact, this is a day for which the 2 have been diligently practicing.
They are really great. They came to several of the preceding distributions to work with me. That laid the groundwork, and now I hope they can take on the responsibility of spreading this love themselves.
I was having fun. It's exciting to see that all the people are happy. to see when you are giving we are getting in return as a happiness. So it's good.
The doctors have been a part of several Tzu Chi events, ranging from free clinics to today's distribution. Today, one of the doctors is also joined by his wife.
Happy that I'm bound to them. I feel that I'm doing something very useful.
As volunteers walk among the crowd accepting donations, the doctors explain the meaning and history behind the bamboo coin bank. Many recipients happily donate, and in doing so, take the first step in going from recipients to donors of love.
So both of the
Today's
MC we saw in the video,
distribution
he is in United States, yeah, and in 加州 and Seattle. Yes, he is in Seattle right now, and as a certified Tzu Chi volunteers. And Rachita, just now there's a woman. Doctor's wife is actually his wife, also joining Tzu Chi as a volunteers. So both of them in Seattle right now. And then Dr. Nadish, he is actually helping our project in the Lumbini. So we can see they are still helping us as a Tzu Chi volunteers because they know they found that giving are the happiest thing they can have here. So we can see most of the people after disaster, they will gone through the negative emotional phase. That's very normal. But we have our sorry, I got a call here. Sorry, I got a call here. But we are lucky enough to have Tzu Chi Foundation. We have a lot of different volunteers that can accompany us. And give me 10 seconds, I have to reply because I'm going to Taipei. Sorry, China. Let me write for 10 seconds. Yeah, okay, sorry. Because I'm going to China tomorrow for my work. So I have to reply for emergency message. Sorry for that. Yeah, so we can see different people encounter different emotional phase, but what we can do here is not just giving them goods. Goods is just for temporary to support their basic needs. If you ever read the Maslow needs theory, it says that the basic needs for every people is food, accommodations, safetiness, and everything. That's just a basic needs for a person. But we ask her. Sorry, Andy, can you mute your mic? Can anyone help to mute Andy?
Cukup tidur macam apa dia buat balik situ. Tak boleh tidur, tak malam tidur awal.
Can our host helping to mute Andy? Andy Ho? Sister Su Ching or anyone, can you help to mute Andy Ho? Brother Andy, can you hear me? Can you mute yourself? We can hear you chatting with your friends or anyone. Okay, let me continue my sharing. Sorry for interruptions. I'm so sorry. So with the support for our volunteers, we can have the victims going to have a different life. So that they're actually having a new confidence and transformations that we can see from Dr. Nadish and also the doctor said, I forgot his name. He's in Seattle, get certified as a Tzu Chi volunteers, having a better life right now. We can see physically is important, but emotionally, psychologically is much more important for them to accompany them for the whole life. If you can have them to learn that they are not just a victim, they can be someone that helping others, so they can have better condition state of mind after the disaster. So what we're working here as a social volunteers during disaster relief, we are actually helping the victims to go through the negative mental state, and then in long term, they are having a new life, new confident transformation. So we can see there are lots of different SOP charters that telling us what to do during disaster. But from my experience, I found that yes, this is very important to have a standard SOP during disaster relief. And it is very important to have a lot of different tools to help us during disaster relief. But what much more important is the empathy. If we can feel what they are pain, that will be much more important than the SOP. So like what we have a scenarios that happen during the disaster relief. During the I can still recall the scene halfway to the school when I was helping the uniform distributions coordination. I got a call from my volunteers saying that there's an old fox abandoned at the roadside. He need treatment immediately, or else he'll be risk in a risk for his life. So after I get a call, I told volunteers, yes, for sure, just go ahead, do whatever we can. He is not a disaster victim. He's not at least we doesn't know where he's come from. He's not like staying nearby. He's someone that get abandoned by his family members because our volunteers asked the nearby villagers. They says that this old fox was abandoned by family members at the roadside. He's just dirty, and then no one's carrying him. And then our volunteers found that, oh, okay, there's an old fox here. So what should we do? Should we help him? Yes. So they came out with this consensus, and then we start to help his medical support and also giving his food. So let us watch this short video.
运佛的真谛在尼泊尔展现。慈济正在医疗团在帐篷区路边发现一位长者全身沾满排泄物，倒卧路旁。慈济志工关怀，而当地志工还帮长者在公厕盥洗，换上干净衣物后喂食。后来发现他高烧不退，还送他到医院治疗。
帐篷区路边就这么倒卧一个老翁，全身衣物沾满了排泄物，引来成群苍蝇。有居民目击，老伯是被一台车载来，弃置在路边。附近居民找来慈济人，志工忙着为老伯打伞遮阳，也搀扶行走不便的他就近到公厕接了一根水管。尼泊尔志工丹罗和巴山只戴了薄薄的一层口罩和手套，眉头也没皱一下，仔细的从头到脚为老伯洗去一身污秽。
整个大小便都在身上，我看他们都很勇敢，都不害怕的，就这样洗啊。虽然他们才刚认识慈济，能够做到这样，确实也不简单。
住在帐篷区旁的一位本地建筑师也送来干净衣物，让老伯换上。众人合力用慈济帐篷帆布当成卧铺，抬老伯到阴凉处歇息。尼泊尔志工丹罗小心地吹凉每口饭菜，喂进老伯口中。另一位尼泊尔志工巴山也随侍在旁，不时为老伯补充水分。这样窝心的举动，在场人无不动容。
So we try to cheering him up. He looks much better.
老伯身体相当虚弱，大小便失禁，后来又发起高烧。 慈济志工将他送往医院急诊打点滴、插尿管，医生建议转院做进一步检查和治疗。带新闻真善美志工张如荣、戴敦仁、尼泊报道。
To a larger hospital. So I was there helping for the old folks. We doesn't know his name, we doesn't know where he's come from, but we decided he's not actually a real the earthquake victim, but for sure I think his family members must be suffering after the earthquake. That's the reason why they abandoned him. So we start to help to take care of him, sending him to from a clinic, sending him to a hospital. And then because it is late in the night, so I decided to accompany him into the hospital. So I thought that's all fine, because after we sent him to the hospital, I thought that's all for our mission, because I thought we send it to the public hospital and then he'll taken care well by the hospital. But no, we doesn't. That is not things should go in Nepal. So when we went to a general hospital, a governmental hospital, the first thing I got from the nurse was, "Why are you sending him here? He shouldn't be here." The first response I got from the governmental hospital is, "Why you should send him here? He shouldn't be here." I was so shocked. I said, "No, he's fevered. He's getting his condition is getting worse, so we should sending him here." He said, No. The previous clinic should can take care for him." So they actually try to avoid taking him, but because I told the hospital that we are coming from the international charity organization, so they stopped the response and then they take the old folks. But they said, "Sorry, we can't take a single old folks into our hospital except he has family members. So they are not allowed anyone to left old folks or someone in the hospital. So we should accompany him." So that's the conditions, the only conditions that we should take before they can accept these old folks. So I'm the one who accompanying for the whole night. So we undergoes different X-rays, MRI, on different checking, all by myself. Because in Nepal hospital, there is not like in Malaysia or like Taiwan. They have a good nurse assistant. No, I'm the one who have to push the guy to MRI room, X-ray room by myself, and then each of the time I have to shift from this bed to the bed belongs to the the examinations center. So I have to do it all by myself. You can see how skinny I was a few years ago. So this is what I've gone through, and I have overnight in the hospital. I slept in front of the emergency procedure room and accompanied for the whole day. But the next morning, I was awake by doctors speaking in Mandarin. I was so shocked. I thought I was in my dream. The doctors told me, "Why are you still staying here?" I said, "I have to accompany the old guys and the old folks, the gentleman here." He said, "Yeah, you are fine. You doesn't need to be here. You can be back. Go back to your back to your operations, because you are here to helping our people. So we will taking good care for this gentleman." So after I left, we goes back and recheck his conditions later of the day, and yes, he was well taken care, and then he stayed there at least before I leave Nepal. He's well taken care by the hospital, and then because he got some inflammations, there's a reason why he get fevers. So I'm so happy because I was there, because we are not there to execute any SOP or any standard procedure, or like a normal NGOs, what they can do. They have to follow all the instructions, all the SOP, or all the charters or procedures that have been set. For example, like NGOs that I work with, they're working on the water, sanitation, and hygiene sectors. So what they can work, that's only focusing on the water part. Out of that, they can't do anything. So for example, like they see some children, they are sick, they can help because that belongs to the medical sectors. So they have to refer the children to the medical team, and then the medical team, they have to evaluate, are they have resources for that. But for Tzu Chi, we are there. Why we are there? We are there to be like Winston Joku. Whenever we hear anyone that's in suffering, we will be there and helping them. So that will be a totally difference. For sympathy, sympathy is the one that carry out the missions, a fixed missions, or a fixed a work. It's just like a work. We are there to help them. That's all. Close after the work, we just living there. We doesn't care about them after we build the temporary classroom for them. So what coming after that, they don't care. But for Tzu Chi, for masters, we will think much more longer than just a disaster. After the disaster, we are not just giving them a classroom to use for 3 months. We want to make sure that they have a sustained long enough time for them to rebuild classroom, and then we want to make sure that they are dry and then sleeping well during the night, and then we want to make sure that everyone get happy, and then they will be the one that empowered and helping the others. So we are actually not there to carry out just a task. We are there to show our empathy, to show our compassion, to show our love as their family members. So this is what I learned from the first country, the first ever country for international disaster relief of Taiwan and Malaysia. Yeah, so it is almost time for today's sharing. So for the next time, I will be sharing for the second country, not the second, I mean the third or fourth countries that I went to Serbia for refugee relief action. So in the following next 2 months, next month sharing sections, I will start with second countries for my experience in the disaster relief. That's all for today's sharing. Thank you so much for your attention to hear my sharing. Thank you so much.
And Brother Sean for the awesome heartwarming sharing on this relief mission at Nepal. Wow, we look forward to the Serbia mission. Yeah, that one we saw from time to time on Thai TV. But those are merely the clippings. So we look forward to Brother Sean's sharing next month. Very powerful. Yeah, we can see Tzu Chi volunteers are not only like Brother Sean said, focusing on these disasters victims, but also even those like the old men. Wow, 真的是 very heartwarming. Truly at the heart of Bodhisattvas, the spirit of it.感恩 Brother Sean for the wonderful sharing. And okay, maybe we take one group picture before Brother Sean. In case Brother Sean, we trust have urgent activities. Let us take one group picture together with Tzu Sifu. Before we start Master Tzu session. After this, there will be a talk by Brother Master Tzu on non-violent communication. Okay, let us take one group photo first. You can on the video for a short while. Those who can on the video. Okay. Sister YY and Lily. Okay, then we take one first. Last one. Okay, before we take another one at the end of the session. How? Brother Sean. Good morning, Master Tzu. We are most honored to have with us Master Tzu to guide us today. I think in February, those who follow 7 o'clock morning volunteer talks would have heard Master Tzu spoke on this non-violent communication, and recently Master Tzu continue on this non-violent communication. But I trust the 4 steps, I think Master Tzu covered 2. There should be another 2 for the 7 o'clock session. So today we are most grateful because Master Tzu tailor-made one for the English group. So very grateful. Okay, let us welcome Master Tzu to benefit us today. Karen, over to Master Tzu. Karen.
Okay, let me put on my PowerPoint. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to give a talk with you. So today I'm going to share with you about nonviolent communication. So this topic originated from my New Year resolution. For my spiritual cultivation this year, I give myself two goals. One is to nurture humility, and the second one is to nurture empathy. And I figured that if I can nurture these two hearts, the heart of humility and the heart of empathy, then I believe it will help me in interacting with people and in dealing with matters better. So these two hearts, humility and empathy, are also something we need to nurture as a bodhisattva. So the method I found in nurturing empathy is nonviolent communication. It's something that we can practice when we are listening and talking with people. It's also a method for us to understand ourselves better. And nonviolent communication is developed by Marshall Rosenberg, an American psychologist. And what motivated him to come up with NVC, which stands for nonviolent communication, was his childhood experience. When he was 9 years old, he experienced the Detroit race riot. The riot was the result of the conflict between the whites and the blacks. And because of the violence in the streets, Marshall was locked in the house for 4 days. And 30 people were killed in his neighborhood in a week. And he realized that this is a world where people might want to hurt you because of your skin color. And when he went to school in Detroit, he learned that his last name could also be a stimulus for violence. And when his classmates found out that he was a Jew from his last name, they waited for him after school to beat him up. So he learned that this is a world where people might want to hurt you because of your last name. And then he had another experience. At the time, his grandmother was living with him. Each night, one of his uncles would go to his house to take care of his grandmother, clean her up, and gave her various medical treatments. And his uncle would always have a beautiful smile on his face. So from this, Marshall saw another aspect of human beings who could enjoy contributing to other people's well-being. And then he had two questions in his mind. What makes some people enjoy other people's suffering? And what makes people enjoy contributing to others? Now, to answer these questions, he studied psychology in university, but he didn't get the answer. And then later on, he studied comparative religion for a year. So the message he got from studying various religions is that our nature as human beings is to exercise our enormous power in the service of life, to enrich life in ourselves and others. And that compassionate giving is what we human beings are meant to be. But then he wondered, if compassionate giving is what we human beings are meant to be, why are we not doing it? And he saw that the problem lies in what created violence was a certain way of thinking, a certain language, and a certain way of using power. In other words, the environment that we are in, the society, the world, our culture, how people think, and the way people talk, which we see on TV, in media, in school, and the people around us, and how people treat one another, make us not compassionate. And so he developed a process, the language, the communication skills, and the thinking that are necessary for people to live in harmony with compassionate giving. And he calls the process nonviolent communication, which consists of an intention to contribute to our own well-being and the well-being of others compassionately. Okay. So before I talk about the process of nonviolent communication, let me share a real life story showing the effect of using nonviolent communication. And this is a person who attended nonviolent communication training and told of his own experience of being robbed. So I'm going to play a voice file, and we can all listen to his talk.
It was 8 o'clock. It was windy, cold, raining, and dark. And I could see the Wembley Park tube station just in front of me. Just 1 or 2 minutes walk, and I was there. And I was walking on the, what you call a footpath or pavement? Yeah. And on the right side, left side was the steel railings, and on the right side were these tall walls and buildings. And before I knew what was happening, this tall guy appears from nowhere. He holds me by my jacket or whatever, pushes me on the wall, and he says in a very scary voice, "Give me all your money." And that was it. I remembered my family back in India, and I had no idea what to do. I'm still shaking. Yeah. And I had no idea what to do. My legs were feeling jelly-like. I couldn't stand. I had a dry mouth. I couldn't speak. The only reason why I was standing because he was pushing me on the back, on the wall. And I remembered last week, one of my Indian friends was mugged in the same way, and he tried to escape. The minute he turned back, he was hit by a sharp object on his head, and he was bleeding, and he was running for his life. Later, he was taken to the hospital in ambulance. I remembered that. And let me tell you, when I was in India, I practiced martial art for 3 years. It didn't work. It didn't work there. What came to my help was my baby giraffe. I was learning NVC. I came to the UK to learn NVC. And before this incident, I always thought, I had my doubts about Marshall's teaching. And always thought, does this crap really work? I've said this to Marshall also. Does this really work? And that was the time I was standing helpless, scared. And so this baby giraffe comes from somewhere, and he says, "Just give me all your money." And I said to this guy, I looked at him and I said, "So you need all my money?" And he says, "Aren't you feeling scared?" So he was guessing my feelings. So I said, "Yes, I'm feeling scared and I can't stand properly. I'm feeling shaky and I can't stand." He said, "Just don't you talk to me. Give me all the money." And I had really big amount with me, my NVC fees and my digital camera. And he said, I again said, "So you need all my money?" And he said, "Do what I say. Just give me all your money. Aren't you feeling scared?" So he was asking me all the time. So what I did, I said, "Yes, I'm feeling scared and I really need to help you." And he said, just give me all your money and I need to eat chicken." So there was he telling his need, that he wants something to eat for his nourishment. That was the time I was really touched by what he said. I thought he's not mugging me. He's got a very basic need for nourishment. He needs chicken to eat. And I said, "Okay, so you need money to meet your need for nourishment." He said, "Just don't talk, give me the money." So I took out, put my hand in my jeans. I had few coins. I still remember 9 pounds. I gave all that to him. And I said, "I hope this meets your need for nourishment." and well-being. He looked at me and he said, "Aren't you feeling scared?" I said, "Yes, I'm feeling scared. Now I'm feeling concerned." And he said, "What concerns you have?" Okay. I could see that man transforming in front of me. I was no more scared. And I said, "My concern is all the money which I had, I have given to. I knew I was lying. I have given it to you. And I want to go back to Bethnal Green in the tube. I've just arrived in the UK and I have no idea how to go back now. And I want to buy a ticket for my back journey." And he looked at me. I could see in his eyes that he's a transformed man. And he says, "You are such a kind and generous man. I don't need your money." And he gave me all my money back. Yeah. I was holding my money and I really wanted to help this guy. And I said, "No, please, I really wanted to meet your name. Please have some." And he looked at me and he said, "What I need is just £2. And I said, "Have." He said, "No, you give it to me now." So I gave him £2 and he says, "God bless you." And he just disappeared.
Okay, so from the story, we can actually see that it's quite marvelous how by using nonviolent communication, we could prevent a robbery. So the 4 components of nonviolent communication are observation, feelings, needs, and request. So instead of going in order and talk about all the 4 components, I'm going to focus just on the needs today. Okay, so even in the, living in this world, we have needs, from the basic needs of survival, such as food, clothing, and shelter, to spiritual needs like love, respect, trust, understanding, and freedom. And all human behavior is an attempt to satisfy their needs. Problems arise when people's needs are being neglected or are in conflict of each other. So when we are interacting with people, understanding their needs is very important. And there are also our feelings. Feelings are a manifestation of what is happening to our needs. When our needs are not being fulfilled, we feel unpleasant feelings. When our needs are being met, we feel pleasurable feelings. So in that story of robbery, the man being robbed needs safety. Since he didn't have safety, he felt scared. When we are using nonviolent communication, we need to be clear about our feelings. And we should also try to feel what other people's feelings are. And being able to feel how other people feel is nurturing empathy. So it sounds like it's really easy to understand our own and other people's needs, but sometimes it's actually not that easy. And so Marshall told of a story. There was a couple who had a conflict for 39 years. They attended Marshall's nonviolent communication workshop. And Marshall said to them, "Within 20 minutes from the point at which you can both tell me what the other party is needing, you'll be able to resolve the conflict." Now, Marshall told the wife, "Tell me what his needs are in this situation." And the wife said, "He doesn't want me to spend any money." And then the husband responded immediately, "That's ridiculous." And Marshall said that, "Doesn't want me to respond any money is not a need." So this couple had been talking about how much money she could spend and not spend. But the more important issue there was whether who takes care of the checkbook. It was the husband who controlled the checkbook. And the wife said, "Let me tell you what his needs are, Marshall. You see, he's just like his own father. They both have a depression mentality when it comes to money." So the wife didn't know, after 39 years, she had no awareness or consciousness of his needs. And Marshall turned to the husband. "She doesn't know your need. Why don't you tell her?" The husband then said, "You see, she's a lovely woman, wonderful mother, a wonderful wife. But when it comes to money, she's totally irresponsible." And then the wife immediately says, "That's unfair. So from their conversation, Marshall knew that for 39 years, when it comes to the money issue, this couple didn't know what each other's needs were. Okay, so Marshall asked the husband, when you said she's irresponsible, are you feeling frightened and need to be sure the family is protected economically? The husband said, that's exactly what I mean. Well, it wasn't what he's been saying for 39 years, but he didn't know how to say his feelings and needs. Then Marshall turned to his wife and said, could you tell me back what you heard him say? And the wife said, but because I did, one time I overdrew the checkbook when we were first married. Now he thinks, and then Marshall stopped her. No. What are his feelings and needs? And the wife said, I hear him saying he's scared, but he thinks I'm irresponsible. So the wife has been seeing her husband as cheap and having this depression mentality for 39 years. And she cannot see the human being behind this enemy image. She was in too much pain to hear him. So every criticism that she'd heard for years that she was irresponsible was making it hard for her to hear her husband's needs. So Marshall again tried to get the wife to repeat her husband's needs. So after 3 more repetitions, finally, she could hear his needs and feelings separate from her judgments. So just sorting out the husband's need and getting the wife to hear his need took an hour. Marshall then turned to the wife. Could you tell me what your needs are? And the wife said, well, just because I overdrew the checkbook before, that doesn't mean I'm going to do it again. The husband then said, oh, we could be out of money. And the Marshall said to the wife, so you are really frustrated. And if I hear you correctly, you have a need for some trust that you can learn how to handle money. And the wife said, yes. And Marshall then told the husband to repeat his wife's needs. The husband said, yeah, we'll be out of money by then. So he couldn't at first take in the needs. Then about 3 more repetitions, he finally hears her needs. So even though it's in our nature to enjoy giving and receiving compassionately, unfortunately, we've learned many forms of communication that lead us to speak and behave in ways that injure ourselves and others. And Marshall called this kind of communication life-alienating communication. And one form of life-alienating communication is the use of moralistic judgments that imply wrongness or badness on the part of those who don't act in harmony with our values. For example, the husband said that his wife is irresponsible. This is a moralistic judgment. And moralistic judgments include blame, insults, put labels on people, criticize, and diagnose. When we judge people in a negative way, people tend to get defensive and they might counterattack. And making comparisons can block compassion both for others and ourselves as well. Life-alienating communication also obscures our awareness that we are each responsible for our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And making demands is another characteristic of language that blocks compassion. So through nonviolent communication, we learn to communicate in a non-harmful way that fosters genuine communication, empathy, understanding, and compassionate giving, so that conflicts can be resolved in a non-violent way. Now, back to the story of the couple who had money issue. How did they resolve their conflict? Both the wife and husband now had empathy for each other. The husband heard that it would really hurt his wife for her not to be trusted and that she could learn to manage the money. The wife heard how scared her husband was if she were to overdraw the account and that he wanted to protect the family economically. So they came up with a plan for the wife to have a trial period where she learns to manage the money. During that period, the husband would supervise her until he felt comfortable that she knew how to do it. And so in nonviolent communication, knowing people's needs is very important. In spiritual cultivation, we also need to develop the skill to understand people's needs. In the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, it says that Bodhisattva Mahasattvas know well the abilities, natures, and desires of all living beings. Now, Bodhisattva Mahasattvas are bodhisattvas who are really advanced in their learning. They've already cultivated the ability to understand living beings and know their needs. So also in the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, the Buddha says, I knew that the natures and the desires of living beings were not the same. As their natures and their desires were not the same, I taught the Dharma in various ways. So the Sutra is telling us that we need to understand living beings, their abilities, natures, and desires. It's like our charity work. In order to give help to people in hardship, we need to know what their needs are. So it's the same with the Dharma. We need to know people's natures and desires in order to give them the Dharma that's useful to them so that they know to use it and cherish it. And so to summarize my talk today, nonviolent communication is a skillful means for us to practice in our spiritual cultivation. So Tzu Chi is a very big organization with many volunteers, and each person has his or her habits and ways of talking. If you are not familiar with people's way of communication, misunderstanding can happen. So nonviolent communication can help us better communicate with people. It teaches us to focus on people's feelings and needs, and also our own feelings and needs. Once we know what people's feelings and needs are, we can better help them with their needs. If we know our own feelings and needs, we can express our thoughts and feelings clearly to others so that other people can understand us better. And this can help avoid misunderstanding and prevent troubles and conflicts. Through using nonviolent communication, we can nurture empathy and understanding. And most important of all, we want to foster the spirit of compassionate giving in people. So these are the skills that we as bodhisattvas need to develop. So there are 4 components to nonviolent communication, and each component takes time to explain. So today, I will only talk about one component, and perhaps in the future, I will talk about other components with you at some other time when I finish preparing the material. So this is my talk today, and thank you for listening.
And Master Tzu, wow, this is truly very awesome. I'm sure all of us feel that this is so applicable and so useful. Master Tzu has shared on one component, and we look forward to hear from Master Tzu on the rest. For those brothers and sisters that wish to start practicing this, any of your, please, we welcome feedback. Wow, it just now we heard to the real recording. Master Tzu, that one is by the person, the Indian man who really experienced that, and how he, when he faced the burglar, how he used non-violent communication to solve that issue, right?
Yes, that was the talk I found on the internet where there was a recording. Actually, there was a series of trainings by Marshall himself. And if you just look it up, nonviolent communication, you can his workshop where he taught people how to use and practice nonviolent communication. And that story was taken from one of the recordings where the person who's learning the nonviolent communication, he shared his own experience with other participants in the training.
Okay. Wow, no wonder, so interactive.
Yes.
Very interesting. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, truly very grateful to Master Tzu for benefiting us. I think February, after I heard from Master Tzu, I still haven't had that any experience, but I did share with my daughter. She's even my daughter in secondary school. I can see she's so interested. So this is really very powerful tool. Instead of like often when we meet these people matters issues often because like Master Tzu say, we do not understand the way why they are coming to this. So instead of in the past, maybe because of that misunderstanding, often it caused a lot of disharmony. But using these non-violent communication tools by stating our needs, letting people know what we are feeling is truly a very good way of communication, nurturing like what Master Tzu said, empathy, and foster this compassionate giving.感恩 Master Tzu for benefiting us. We look forward to more talks by Master Tzu. 好，感恩 brothers and sisters for joining us today. We are most grateful to all of you for spending the morning since Wisdom at Dawn. 感恩 Master Tzu and Brother Sean for guiding us today. Let us invite Master Tzu to lead us in making 3 vows to the Buddha and Sangren as we depart to apply all these wonderful teachings in our everyday life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life universal truth. First vow. Second vow. And third vow. And a bow to our beloved Master Tzu for guiding us today.感恩 Master Tzu. We look forward to more talks from Master, and June there will be a certification trip. Not sure, hopefully we have the affinity to meet Master Tzu. Not sure whether there will be an English session for the English volunteer for the upcoming June certification.
No, I don't know. To me that's too far down the road.
Okay, because the schedule are very packed at Hualien, we are sure. So this one flow with the affinity 好，都好，感恩Master， 感恩 brothers and sisters， 感恩大家 ，take care， stay safe， 感恩。Okay, bye. We will end the session.